Hey Hebrew fans, this is Todd. So today I had a really interesting question come in, and it was about my video that shows all of the He-Man figures, throughout the 80s. And the question was, why don't you have any of the figures from 1981? And I scratched my head and I was trying to figure it out. And it's like, we came out in 82, then all of a sudden it dawned on me, oh, they're talking about the date on the back of the figure. See, check this out. Check this out, and we'll get into this. I'm going to zoom this up right here so you guys can see it. Is the date on the back of this figure is 1981. It's kind of hard to see a little bit there, but you can see 1981. And even though the figure came out in 1982, that's when it was released. So it's almost like when you go and buy a car, and sometimes on the inside of the car, it will say the year before the car was actually released. And the reason for this is the molds were made in 1981, but the figure official release was 1982. So that is why you get that discrepancy between the date on the back and the figure. Now, in this case, it's not that big of a deal. We're talking just 1 year from when the mold was made to the figure was released. No harm, no foul. That makes a lot of sense and easy to find. But I could see if I was going to go out and try to search for a toy I just picked up and I found, and the back of the toy had a date on it, like, 1972 or 68, I would search that year and that toy to see if I could find it. Not realizing that the date does not match when the actual toy was released, which it does seem kind of counterproductive, but it makes sense when you think about the molds and how much money goes into producing the molds. So, another example is Man-at-Arms. Man-at-Arms is also released in 1982. And sure enough, on the back, we have 1981. There it is, 1981. So, you can see that, sure enough, the date, again, does not match the release of the figure. So, again, just like with He-Man, he was released at the same time. He was part of the original 8-back, so that makes a lot of sense. But then we get into figures like Trapjaw. Trapjaw was released in 1983, but his torso is the exact same torso as He-Man and Man-at-Arms. And so even though he was a 1983 released figure, he's not going to stand anymore, is he? Stand, man, stand. There we go. So let's take a look at his back date. And his also says 1981. 1981! So you can see, again, we have that discrepancy of the date, where this actually came out in 83, 2 years later. But the mold was made in 81, which is why we have that 81 date. All right, so here's where it gets kind of strange. We have another figure here, and this one, of course, is a custom, but this figure was made from the Clamptrap figure, and Clamptrap came out in 1987, but he has the exact same body as He-Man, and so his date on his back is 1981, even though it came out in 87, so it's quite a few years later from when the figure was released. So again, if you tried typing in this figure's description and said created in 81, you're never going to find it. So just as a quick heads up that sometimes the date, like usually, the date does not match the figure when it was released. Let's take a look at another one here. I had this guy named Mantenna. Now, Mantenna was a unique body. You can see it's not the same torso. And Mantenna was released in 1985. Let's take a look at the back of his date. Now, I did not check the date before the video aired, so it'll be a surprise for me too. And let's see if we can see this on here clearly. And the date on here is 1984. 1984, but the figure was released in 85. So just like with the first figures, it's actually a year earlier of when they made the molds and when the copyright was filed. So there you go. Now here's where this gets really weird. Here's where it gets weird. So I have these other figures here, And this He-Man right here is a commemorative He-Man, and he was made in the year 2000. 2000! But when they made him, they lost the molds. They had to make all new molds. They bought figures from other collectors and used those to remake the molds. Now, the head I stole from the 1982 He-Man, so it's the wrong head. I customized him a little bit. But the body is still the 2000 version of He-Man. And let's turn him around. Let's look at the date. And the date on the back of this is 1981. Even though it's a brand new mold, they still had it copyrighted originally in 81. So, crazy, right? Okay, it gets even crazier. Even crazier than that, man. So let's take a look at this Battlecat. Now, this Battlecat, he is a commemorative Battlecat, so he was made in either 2000 or 2001. I can't remember which year it came out. And let's check the date on him. And in the corner of his leg here, we have the date. I may have to let me adjust my light here so I can get this light to get in there. And we have a date of, there it is, of 1975, right? 1975. 1975? He-Man wasn't even around then. How in the world did we get a 1975 Mattel copyright date on the leg of this Battlecat? It is a 5, right? Maybe it's a 6. I can't. No, it's a 5. It's got a straight line across the top. 1975. So, the reason for this is this particular mold originally was made for a toy line called Big Jim. And in the Big Jim line, they had a tiger type character. They had a Black Panther for the Tarzan release, and they had an orange tiger for the regular Big Jim release. And that's when they first made the mold, was in 1975. So, crazy. But if you search for green cat with orange stripes and a saddle and a helmet, and you're not sure of his name, and you know it's Mattel, and you type in 1975, you are not going to find this guy, because he was not released the first time until 82, and then again the commemorative series until the 2000s. So, crazy, crazy. Now, as a side note, really strange is they did release Battlecat with a different date stamp in the 80s. They didn't give him the original copyright date from the Big Jim time. So you may find different dates on your Battlecats, depending if it's the commemorative or the official original release. So, there you go. Hopefully I've educated you guys on the dates, and I'll send this video to the person that had the question, so they can also come back and look at it and see. But isn't that crazy, though, with those dates? I know, I think it's just so bizarre how this figure came out in 2000 and still has a 1981 date stamp on it. It just makes it impossible to track down when things came out. And you would think, oh, it's an old one. It says 1981, but it's a new one, and you can tell, not new, it came out in 2000, because it has that recess around the foot, or on the inside of the foot with a ridge raised. That's how you know it's a commemorative one, as opposed to the original ones don't have that. So don't go by the date to figure out how old your toy is, because these toys are almost 20 years apart in age. They're like 19 years apart from one to the other, even though the date's on the same on their back. So don't use that to verify how old the figure is. Always talk to collectors and find out other key elements like color differences, raised foot with a recessed center, or other tidbit things that can help you identify how old an actual figure is, not just the date. All right, hopefully this video has been informative and helped you out. And if you did like it, let people know about it. Sharing the video helps this channel more than anything else. All right, well, thanks for watching. And we have this saying, for those that don't know, from the He-Man world, and that is in the 1987 movie, Dolph Lundgren said, he said, "Good journey." So when we leave the video and when we say goodbye to each other as He-Man fanatic friends, we use the words "good journey." So let me go ahead and pull my He-Man up, and I'll have him say it into the camera. Good journey. Bye now. Thanks for joining us.
If you found enjoyment, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Do it.